Franz Schubert. Franz Schubert, the fantastic composer from Vienna, Austria. Someone who when I was younger, someone told me that Franz, as a young man, was a virgin, like I still am in my late 70s. And he wanted to save himself for his marriage, or he was gay, or something, I can't remember exactly. But he finally gave in and went into the 19th century version of a public toilet, had sex with a man, got syphilis and died months later. His first sexual interaction. But from that inestimable, 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 that's a hard word to say, inestimable source, Wikipedia, he was actually heterosexual. Wow. Good looking little guy too. You might know him from his famous Unfinished Symphony. It's been used in many, many utility adverts and various commercials for, vacuum cleaners. Not the best version. Anyway, let's get some information on him. He was born 31st of January 1797 in Himmelpfortgrund, a suburb of Vienna. So he's, what is that? Pisces? Aquarius? His father was called Franz Theodor. He was a schoolmaster. And his mother had 14 children. And guess what? 6 of them survived. It was rough back then, eh? Imagine giving birth to 14 children, going through all of that, and you only end up with half a dozen at the end of the whole thing. Oh, very sad. Must be hard back then. There's a thing that the woman that wrote Frankenstein, Mary Shelley, she actually, when she was born, her mother died soon after because of the childbirth. And then she went on to write the book Frankenstein about a monster that ends up killing his creator. It's a bit eerie, eh? Maybe she felt like that about herself, killing her own mother because of childbirth. That's depressing. Let's get back to Franz Schubert. Now, I've been to Vienna. It's a lovely place. A lot of great people came from Vienna, not just Hitler or Joseph Fritzl. There's some other good ones too, like, Mozart lived there, Beethoven lived there, Schwarzenegger at some point did, although I'm more of a Stallone fan. Schwarzenegger's a bit too, what's the word? I can't say swarthy because so is Stallone. Well, I like Stallone and Rocky. This is not your typical biography of a classical composer. I'm starting to wander off a bit, but I'm trying to pad this out as long as possible. So he grew up with a schoolmaster father. He learned his musical various things, the violin and the piano. And at the age of 11, he became a pupil at the Stad Convict School. Stad Convict just means normal school. But of course, like all words in the German language, somehow it sounds kind of terrifying. Stad Convict School. He played viola in the family string quartet. The whole family used to play together. His brothers Ferdinand and Ignaz on first and second violin, and his father on the cello. I guess a bit like, I don't know, the Osmonds or the Hanson or the Jonas Brothers or like the Jackson 5 without the afros and child abuse. While he was studying music in his teenage years, he studied with Antonio Salieri. You know that guy from the movie Amadeus, known as the envious traitor that may have poisoned Mozart. Wow, what a terrible thing to be known for, eh? I mean, that's up there with, as far as abominations against music, that's up there with, I don't know, NSYNC, Westlife. Well, it's not that bad, but it's in the general vicinity, that's for sure. Now, he was different from Mozart and Beethoven. He didn't spend his youth traveling around Europe as a sort of performing monkey, showing off his incredible, prodigious skills because of his youth. No, he just went to school, studied music. Actually spent time as a teacher in his late teens. And it was hard to make it back then when you were an artistic person. You had to rely on rich patrons. It's not like now you couldn't have started a podcast and advertised erectile dysfunction pills or sheath underwear or express VPN. You had to suck up to aristocrats, which is a bummer. Well, he seemed to be a very friendly guy. Everyone liked him. He's quite funny looking if you look at his image there. He's kind of like an Austrian Danny DeVito in many ways. He's 5 foot tall, supposedly, and his nickname was Schwammerl, which means little mushroom. Hopefully that's talking about his actual physique and not a small portion of it. So his nickname was Little Mushroom, and he was known for heavy drinking. So imagine this little mushroom staggering around composing string quartets, and that's basically him in the middle of the 19th century of the Black Plague. He used to hang around with, he had a really close set of friends, and they all used to hang around together. Have a little something called a Schubert Tiad. It's kind of like, imagine, I guess, the Austrian version of a hillbilly hoedown. But everybody has more than a single digit IQ. They're quite erudite and astrolite and astroturfed. And he'd hang around with all these friends, and because it was a time of the Napoleonic era and the French Revolution, young men hanging around in groups was treated with suspicion, whereas now they would be formed into a boy band by a homosexual. Back then, the authorities were quite distrustful of them. So him and 3 of his other friends ended up getting arrested. One of them ended up getting imprisoned for a year. But Schubert was only severely reprimanded, which sounds quite kinky, actually. Maybe I should look into the methods that he received. But he was severely reprimanded for inveighing against officials with insulting and opprobrious language, which in German must have sounded pretty good. Schnein, Schweinhund, fassen lassen, this, I'm composing string quartets with mein Freunds. And you come in here with your goddamn hippy-dippy shit. I don't care what you're doing. But that's the way he did it back then. Dostoevsky was thrown in jail for 8 years. Schubert got away with a telling off, so he was obviously some sort of fed. I guess he was a confidential informant of some sort. I don't trust him. Now, Schubert, I'm not sure how well he did in his love life. Little Mushroom is not exactly the nickname you want to tell all the girls in your local neighborhood is your nickname. But supposedly he had a hopeless passion for one of his pupils, the Countess Caroline Esterhazy. Probably some statuesque blonde Nordic chick. There's this 5 foot tall little bald guy with glasses, tubby. Do you like the way I handle my strings? Do you like this? Yeah? This could all be yours. All you have to do is give up your fantastic fortune and status, and then I will all be for you. What do you think, Countess? Countess? Where are you going? So he was unrequited in love, although he did supposedly die of syphilis, which has really been unrequited in love, isn't it? Imagine that. Imagine having syphilis. Thank God I've managed to get mine under control. So he did that, and he composed an incredible amount of where is it? How much is it? An incredible amount of 1,500 musical works he did in a short career. He lived only for 31 years of his life, and he composed 1,500 works. Most known for his chamber music, I think, apart from his and his leads, which are his songs. He was the leader of the gang for that. If you ever see somebody at a piano and some German chick going, Fräulein, sit fraglich, that's probably one of his songs they're singing. I don't know why I never took off. Not quite as popular as it used to be, but you know. His chamber music is great. I would highly recommend that. Quintets, quartets. I'm going to be using the soundtrack. I'm going to use the Unfinished Symphony, his most famous one, and also his quintet in C major, the Adagio section in the middle, which is also very beautiful. If you listen in, you'll be listening to it. So he wasn't really recognized or lauded that much in his life, but eventually became more and more popular until he supposedly got syphilis. They never really tell you on Wikipedia. Maybe there should be a dirty version of Wikipedia. That'd be good. We can look up all the venereal diseases that people have had over the years. I mean, Bill Clinton's must be pages and pages long. I wonder how many venereal diseases Bill Clinton's had. Pre-Jeffrey Epstein and post-Jeffrey Epstein. Although maybe that's why he was targets for of a younger variety. Anyway, let's get away from that subject. So, his symptoms that he had just before he died, they were of mercury poisoning. They think he died of typhoid fever, but the symptoms were from mercury poisoning, and they used to treat people with syphilis with mercury. I'm not really sure. It's like treating people with gonorrhea with lead poisoning. I mean, that sounds good, doesn't it? They really had some fantastic ideas in medicine back then. Really out of this world. Thing is, he was alive at the same time as Beethoven was, and they were in the same city at the same time, although Beethoven and him never really hung out much. They weren't homies. Beethoven died in, when is it? 1827, and this chap died in 1828. A year, imagine that. I was thinking it's a bit like Jimi Hendrix and Jim Morrison dying, though a lot more talented. I mean, those guys were talented, but this is two of the greatest composers in human history. They were living in the same city. Wow, amazing. Maybe they went busking together, playing Simon and Garfunkel. I mean, he's got the same hairstyle as Garfunkel. Thank God Beethoven doesn't have Paul Simon's hairstyle. I don't think that would really look good in portraits. The comb over that Paul Simon has had for the last 60 years. He's still got it too. It's kind of like Woody Allen like that. Have you seen Woody Allen's? Woody Allen has had that tuft of hair. I guess it's probably velcroed on. They salvaged it from 1972. He's kept it in a glass container, sewn it onto his head, and he still can pretend that he's not bald as a coot because he's got that tuft of hair. It's like the tuft of hair. It's like a piece of grass when you play golf and you slice the ball and a piece of grass comes out. They basically nailed that to the top of his head. So Schubert had syphilis, but then again, maybe he didn't. It's up in the air. No one knows. No one knows what he had. They were treating him with mercury, but they think that he probably died of typhoid fever, which I've actually had that. I got it when I was 18, and it wasn't good. Traveled all around Greece, Turkey, Italy, Yugoslavia at the time. Ended up in hospital for 2 weeks, getting antibiotics in my bloodstream. Typhoid fever. I wouldn't recommend it. It's not fun. So I really think, and many people do, that Schubert is one of the great composers. Mozart, Beethoven, Schubert of that era are probably the top three. Brahms and Liszt, they were kind of also rans, although they do have a good rhyming slang. Brahms and Liszt is rhyming slang for pissed, as in drunk. That's why there's a pub called the Brahms and Liszt in London. I think Covent Garden it is. Now, Beethoven and Schubert didn't hang around with each other, as I mentioned. But little by little, Beethoven started to realize that, hey, this guy's kind of talented. And supposedly he quoted saying, "Truly, the spark of divine genius resides inside this Schubert." Hopefully he's referring to the musical side and nothing else of a more dubious nature. Beethoven also reportedly predicted that Schubert would make a great sensation in the world. Not bad to have on your resume, as a recommendation. So you're applying to be a musical teacher in Prince George, British Columbia. Do you have any references? Yeah, well, I've got this guy, Ludwig van. Are you familiar with him? Yeah, he just wrote some stuff about me. No big deal. No biggie. What has he got here now? Yeah. Truly, this is me he's talking about here, by the way. Pay attention. Truly, the spark of divine genius resides inside this Schubert. That's me. See, that's my name at the top. He's talking about me. Ludwig van Beethoven. Are you aware of him in Prince George? No, he's not a hockey player. No. Musician, yes. I'm applying as a musical director of this shitty elementary school. Yeah. Well, there's you asked for references. How's it? Okay, here's another one. Not impressed by that? Okay. Let's keep going. Next quote from Ludwig van Beethoven about me, Franz Schubert, applying for a shitty job as a musical director of an elementary school in Prince George, British Columbia. Would make a great sensation in the world. What do you think of that one? It's Ludwig van Beethoven. Never heard of him. What kind of music do you listen to in Prince George? Modern country. What is modern country? Songs about trucks and loving America. But we're in Canada. Okay, you substitute the word Canada for America. Does that you have no other idea about other types of music in the world and you want me to be a musical director? How is this going to work? So anyway, they were actually buried together. God, that's depressing. They're buried together. 1827 and 1828, both of them, Beethoven and Schubert, dead. Whew, that's a rough one. They're lying together. And then as Schubert's stock rose, he became more. Everybody knew how great Beethoven was, but people gradually realized how great Schubert was. And in 1888, both Schubert and Beethoven's graves were moved to the Central Friedhof, which is a big cemetery in the middle of Vienna, where they are next to the later graves of Johann Strauss II and Johannes Brahms. They're both kind of shit. Anton Bruckner was present at both their exhumations. He was standing there when they dug up their corpses, their skeletons basically, and he reached into both coffins and held the revered skulls in his hands. What a pervert! What are you doing? Would you want to hang around with this guy after he only done that? Anton Bruckner, keep your eye. That guy should be on a register. I just want to fondle his skulls. That's all. Maybe I can get some inspiration. Maybe I can play bowling with the skull. I put the fingers in the eye sockets and the thumb in the nose socket. I just like having fun. Look at me juggling. Franz and Ludwig. Look, I do behind my back. Look. Which was Franz? Which was Ludwig? Oh no, I got them mixed up. Hoo. Hello, Ludwig, can you hear me? Can you hear me? I'm shouting into your ear. I know you're deaf. I'm making a joke, he's deaf. So Anton Bruckner, not impressed. So he was an incredible guy. And he lived in Vienna. I noticed when I was in Vienna's also the home of Joseph Fritzl, huge inspiration for me. and also the home of Adolf Hitler, a huge inspiration for many of today's youth for some reason. And I noticed that I saw a guy when I went to buy some Kuchenstücken or something, cookies in a chocolate shop there. They always have a few guys with these piercing blue eyes. Yeah, like Adolf or Joseph Fritzl or Enoch Powell. They just look at you. Most white guys are not that scary looking. Uh, but these guys are scary looking. Piercing blue eyes! Why are you just staring at me? What are you doing? I know you're Auslander. Why are you in my country? Your hair is not blonde enough. Just glaring at me. Everything you do is irreparable. It's inefficient. And I disagree with it. And you must be punished. I'm just trying to buy some cookies, man. I'm assuming that's what he thought, but it is the home of Joseph Fritzl. And you do get those guys there in Vienna, though it's a nice place. Not the best place I've ever been to. I went there, it was freezing cold. It was just amazing to walk around the city where Beethoven used to live, Mozart, and Schubert, the guy we're talking about now. And Adolf Hitler, of course, another fine artist for the youth of today, as I mentioned. Now, Beethoven didn't have children, neither did Schubert. Mozart did, I found out. Schubert didn't, did he? No, he didn't. No, he was a virgin who died of syphilis. Figure that one out. But Hitler did. Hitler didn't have children either. No, it's sad. But Hitler did have a nephew. Have you heard of Paddy Hitler? Yeah, Paddy Hitler. From Liverpool. William Patrick Hitler was his dad's brother's son. No, was his half-brother's son. That's it. Alois, his half-brother's son. His older half-brother's son. Moved to Liverpool in like 1910, and with a nice Irish girl, because you know the Irish were on the side of the Nazis during the Second World War. You'll never hear that in a drunken pub, but that's the truth. Well, no, they were neutral, to be honest. As long as they were bombing England, the Irish were happy. That's basically where they were coming from. Fair enough. So there was William Patrick Hitler, whose nickname is Paddy. Yeah, which sounds like a punchline to a joke, actually. He ended up in America and joining in the army, the American army, fighting against the Germans. Yeah, wow, he really was a Paddy. He could figure out who to fight. So I've got another 6 minutes to waffle on here. How's the art doing? I'm still working on this. Not sure what I'm going to be doing with this. Hopefully, let's see. What am I doing? Look at that. I'm going to explore different ways of making these portraits. I've been creating lots of different elements to add to them. It's a journey we're on. Kind of like getting back my erectile functioning. There he is. There's Schubert. This is gonna, it's all taking things one by one, step by step, baby steps, figuring out how to do this. Oh, look at that. Oh, something else happened. Oh, a turquoise rectangle. That's good news. Where did that come from? Oh, see anything else here? I'm just gonna, anything else I can talk about here? Recommend. So the two pieces of music I've got on this, his unfinished symphony, which actually, I'm not sure why it's called unfinished, and the quintet in C major, highly recommend both. His chamber work in particular is really beautiful. The Death and the Maiden, the Trout Quartet. Yeah, really great stuff. Right, I've got 4 minutes to go here. Really time a lot. I think I'm going to end this. I'm just going to edit this and get rid of it, and then, yeah, end of that. Anyway, stay tuned for the next one. I know you're thinking, well, that was shit. Gotta start somewhere. Got a lot of them. I just broke my glasses. Put them on my bed, came down to record this, landed right on them, destroyed them. I have to buy more glasses. It's not easy being a rock star, but somebody's got to do it. And these are thick glasses, Coke bottle lens glass. I mean, the groupies go wild for these things. You put these things on there, you're beating them off with a shitty stick. Yeah, I just broke them. I broke my poontang magnet when I broke these. But I'm living with it. I'm going to get through it. Right. Bye-bye. Take care. Anything else? I guess I gotta keep letting it run out. No, I guess I'll keep talking. Maybe I'll just read from Wikipedia. Let's see anything else here. Okay. Here we go. This is fun, eh? Franz Schubert, Austrian composer. He was known, he was a very lovable chap and he had very close friends, so of course, in our modern era, someone is going to accuse him of being same-sex attracted. But then other people said, no, that's what it was back then. Men had very close relationships. Sometimes that involved rubbing their penises together, but it was completely platonic. There was no romance whatsoever, just pure animal instinct. Here he is, Franz Schubert, the Danny DeVito of the classical composers. Franz Peter Schubert. 31st of January, 19th of November, 1828. An Austrian composer of the late classical and early romantic era. Despite his short life, Schubert left behind a vast oeuvre, including more than 600 Lieder, art songs in German, and other vocal works. For example, Ave Maria. That's his. He came out with that one. We'll probably use it for the football now. What else? 7 complete symphonies. Ooh. Sacred music, operas, incidental music, and a large body of piano and chamber music. His major works include Erlkönig, Gretchen am Spinnrad, and Ave Maria. The Trout Quintet, as I mentioned earlier. The Symphony No. 8 in B minor, that's the unfinished one. String Quartet in D minor, Death and the Maiden, that's great as well. String Quartet C major, very good. Let's look up the unfinished symphony. Why is it unfinished? No, that's not it. Where is it? Here we go. Symphony No. 8. How's your symphony going there, Franz? Oh man, I just can't finish it for some reason. I don't know why. Really? Okay. But it's been theorized by some musicologists, including Brian Newbold, that Schubert may have sketched the finale that instead became the B minor entr'acte from his incidental music to Rosamund. But all evidence for this is circumstantial. Whew, that's a relief. I was wondering about that. I thought, for God's sake, don't tell me that he actually sketched the finale, but instead that it became the big B minor entr'acte from the incidental music to Rosamund. Thank God only the evidence is circumstantial. God almighty. One possible reason for Schubert's leaving the symphony incomplete is the predominance of the same meter. First movement is in, that's the time, I guess. The first movement is in 3/4, the second in 3/8, and the third an incomplete scherzo, again in 3/4. 3 consecutive movements in basically the same meter rarely occur in classical symphonies, sonatas, or chamber works. So there you go. You're sick of doing the 3/4, and you can't blame them. And here we come to the finished product. There we go. Not bad, eh? Bye-bye. See ya. See you later. See you, Schubert.